Hi guys, another early morning. I don't know. I think I went to bed at like 6:30 in the morning. So it's noon now. So I'm tired, but it's really not morning. My mascara from yesterday is like in my eyes now. So dealing with all that. This book, man. We've got, oh lordy, you can't see that. We've got The Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapena. Sorry. I was listening to this book, the audiobook, on my way driving back home from Texas. I don't know, I didn't get very far through it. Driving back across the country, not across the country, but driving back across country, you know what I mean. Like, nothing by myself as a young woman is like already kind of a little bit anxiety inducing, to add kind of this mentality of like apprehensive thoughts. Just no. No. So I had to stop listening to it, or I was gonna drive myself crazy. While an audiobook is great and fantastic sometimes, for me personally, I prefer to actually read the book. I feel like my retention is much higher, and because this is like a detail-oriented whodunit, I needed to be aware of everything that was going on. Anyway, there's this little bed and breakfast in the middle of nowhere, New York, like very, very upstate. And it's just this kind of like family owned and operated little B&B. They have 12 guest rooms, so 4 on each floor. It's basically just this like rustic, old-timey, early 1900s kind of a, like everything's stone and wood and very grand. It has like this big sweeping staircase. There's like fireplaces everywhere. It's very like cozy. There's like all these like little corners and sitting rooms everywhere. There's a sitting room, I think, on each floor. And then there's like the library. They've got like this really nice like man cave bar. The whole thing is like super cozy, comfy, like very ritzy, very expensive. They have other staff, but because it's so snowy and they had so many people cancel for the weekend, the rest of the staff have stayed down in the city. So they only have the two, technically the owner, James, and his son, Bradley. So Bradley's making sure the guests are all being taken care of. He's very charming, very polite, whatever. James is just taking care of the cooking, making sure things are running well, maintenance, that sort of thing. They've had cancellations. They're now looking at only 6 groups of people. The first group we're introduced to is Gwen and Riley, college friends. Kind of both of them have gone through some stuff. We don't know what stuff. So it's like, it's not like a girls' weekend, like, let's get drunk and like party. No, it's like, let's just go and read some books and chill for a little while. The next group of people is Ian and Lauren. They are a pretty new couple. I think they've been together for like a couple of months. This is like their first weekend away kind of a thing. Then the next person, I think, is David. And David is like in his 40s and he is traveling by himself. He is there also like just to relax. He's chatty, he's comfortable, he's talking to people, he's asking them questions like, hey, why are you here? What's going on? Tell me about your life. Like he's very much so involved. Who else? So then there's Dana and Matthew, and they are high class, high society engaged couple. And they're about to get married, and so it's like our last vacation before the stress of the wedding and all of the things. Oh, so then we have Beverly and Henry. Their marriage is struggling, but she thinks it's repairable. They haven't had any discussions about being divorced or like super bad fights like that or anything along those lines. So they're just there to kind of like reconnect as a couple. But then Henry kind of blows his gasket about the fact that there's no Wi-Fi and no signal. Like, you can't, it's very spotty, really bad. They have phones for the hotel, like landlines, but they don't have cell service, right? And the last guest, we don't actually find out about her until everybody else is situated. She actually got there way before everybody else. but her name is Candace, and she's a writer. So she's just there to get away from everything and kind of cut off all the distractions and finish writing this book that she's writing on. Okay, so everybody checks in, everybody's having a grand old time. There's so many hidden alcoves and like little sitting areas everywhere that they're all just kind of exploring. Very early in the morning, there's a loud scream and everybody comes running, and there's a body lying at the bottom of the staircase. So then it turns into a massive game of Clue. Pretty late in the evening, or well, not late in the evening, but like it's getting dark out, and they find another guest in their room strangled. And these are two unrelated guests. That's as much as I'm going to give away in the summary. So let's talk about the book. A pretty good thriller, really good, definitely keeps you involved. She doesn't give everything away all at once. There's like kind of this slow progression as layer upon layer gets added to the story. Her character development is really good. Actually very well rounded. You got to pull out all these secrets to make everybody look like a suspect, right? She really did a very good job of trying to like trick the reader right into coming to the wrong conclusion. I will say the author's writing style, it took me a little while to get used to it. She talks in a certain kind of a way at the beginning, and there are certain patterns that she has that do not exist later in the book. Her voice is a little bit different at the beginning than it is later on. I feel like she gets more comfortable later on, and there are certain things that she does at the beginning that she doesn't do anymore. I was a little bit worried when I first was reading and listening to the beginning part of the book, because I was like, oh, I might not be able to handle her voice. But it got better as we went into the book. And there's a couple people who gave like 2 and 3 star reviews, absolutely could not stand her writing style. Some people like had to stop reading the book, and I feel like if you keep reading the book, you get a little bit more comfortable with her, but it is something to be aware of. Just not because there was anything wrong with the plot or anything, just because her writing style doesn't sit well with some people, and that's fine. I really liked it. It's not a 5-star for me. I'm not saying it's a bad book, I'm not saying it's a bad plot, but it is a classic locked door whodunit, which there's nothing wrong with. I enjoy those books, but it doesn't make it like a 5-star, oh my god, I love this book so much. It's definitely a recommended book for me. Definitely good, definitely worth a read if this is your kind of book. This book, I'm reading this in the summer. So I'm pre-recording this, I'm getting myself prepared, and I'm recording this and have read this book in June. Not a June book. It is wintry and cold, and it's not the book that I wanted to be reading right now. So my suggestion, I think it's a good book for after Halloween when you're kind of still in that like spooky mood, but before Christmas, before you get into the happy, good times, feel good times. You know what I mean? Or it might be a good thing to read in kind of those like boring months of actual winter, after Christmas, when winter kind of like actually settles in and gets terrible. So that's what we're going to end here with my review of this book. The discussion and spoiler section is coming up in a minute. Don't forget, I've got all my links for Goodreads and everything down below. Actually, I think it's just Goodreads now. I've got my Goodreads down below. Thank you for watching. Very much appreciate it. Go and read this book. Come back and tell me how you feel about it. Okie dokie. So let's go from the very beginning. I started taking notes at the time of Dana's body being discovered. At the time of discovery, we have certain people's conscious stream. And so I use that kind of to exclude people. So Riley, when she was falling asleep at 2 o'clock, she falls asleep and she hears the scream. So we know she's not the murderer because she was in bed. Then we have Gwen, who was supposedly with David at the time of the murder, but we really have no idea what time she left his room or any of that information, right? Gwen is not with Riley at the time of the murder because Riley's been laying there going, when is Gwen coming to bed? We don't know where Gwen was. So at this point in time, it's possible she left David at like 1 o'clock. And since David's room is on the first floor, it's absolutely possible that on her way back up to the third floor, she gets in some sort of confrontation and kills Dana. David, again, supposedly with Gwen, for him, it's less likely for him to have killed Dana than for Gwen to have killed Dana. The internal dialogue has him trying to figure out the murder. So David, in my mind, is pretty much washed. So then we have Matthew, right, the fiance, supposedly asleep. They go and they wake him up, but he has no alibi. There was no motive to me. It's possible, but there's no insurance, there's no him getting her money, and at this point I'm pretty sure we know that he has more money than she does. It made no sense. So for me, he didn't have a motive, he didn't have an alibi, but again, the fiance killing her, too easy. Then we've got Lauren, and I literally put, seems normal, no baggage, suspicious. Ian is her alibi, but she gets up in the morning and putters around and is in the bathroom and walking around and doing stuff for almost half an hour, and he sleeps through it. Then we've got Lauren is the one who discovers the body, and let me tell you, if somebody discovers a body, they are number one suspect in my mind. So then they have a comment about Lauren has a broken nail and she's looking for a nail file, and I'm like, y'all haven't done anything, why'd you break your nail? Lauren has just scooched herself up. So we've got Gwen and Lauren. Then we have James. So we have very little information about James, ever, at all. Just, he is a widower, and Bradley is his son. It's really all the information we have. We also have no information about James or Bradley's alibis at this time, but James seems genuinely disturbed that this is a horrible thing to have happened. So then we have Beverly, who was up late the night before, but she does go to sleep. Henry fell asleep well before the murder. So the two of them, and also they have their own things going on. I feel like both of them are so much more selfish, not necessarily in a bad way. They're focused on what is going on with themselves more so than any of the other guests and what's going on there. Then we have Candace, also no information about her alibi, but she does wake up in the morning and is shocked by the weather outside, so she was probably not up in the middle of the night. Ian sleeps through the commotion completely, and he has slept all night long. So Ian is out. Bradley, actually, I had an interesting theory. So Dana does notice how handsome he is at when they check in, but he's got that friendly kind of flirtatious personality. And then after discovery, he is sad and somber and sullen and subdued and all the S words. I don't know, it felt to me kind of more of an emotional connection. So now we know it's because he witnessed it, but at the time, I did have a theory that he maybe had some sort of affair with Dana. It was just it fits the bill. It's a possibility. So right now for me, I've got Gwen, Lauren, James and Bradley, just because we have no information about where they were, what they're doing. So that's where I'm going. I do have Bradley as being involved in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so Candace's discovery. Beverly leaves Henry in the lobby. Neither of them has an alibi. However, Henry and Beverly, again, they're caught up in their own drama, so they are lowest suspects to me. So Matthew is supposedly in his room, no alibi. There'd be no reason for him to kill Candace unless he thought Candace was the one who killed Dana. So for me, Matthew's out. Bradley is unaccounted for, but in his internal dialogue, he's like, I don't want to walk up 3 flights of stairs to go see if she's here. She's just gonna miss out on this ice thing. She probably is gonna say no anyway. I think he's just happy that he doesn't have to deal with her right now. So Bradley does have a slight argument with James about his past. And then he does say, make sure you're not being too friendly with the guests. And so I was thinking, remember I had that theory, okay, if he's getting friendly with guests in the past, or maybe James knows that he hooked up with Dana, kind of added a little bit of credence to that theory. Those were my two theories at this point. Lauren, or something happens, Bradley gets caught with Dana. Then we have, I didn't catch it the first time because she discovered the body, but this second time, Lauren has now touched both bodies, supposedly checking for vitals and or helping them. This is one of those things where most people will not touch a dead body. You cannot pay them enough money to touch a body. And these are strangers to her. She has no idea who these people are. So it seems weird to me at this point. Okay, so then we have the theory of having somebody hiding in the hotel. So for me, I was like, that's an interesting twist. I don't think I've ever read a whodunit where it wasn't the main characters, where it was like some stranger. But then the title of the book is An Unwanted Guest, so I'm like, it's possible. And I'm also thinking maybe Bradley let somebody in and it's just like, yeah, you can spend the night for free, just don't tell anyone kind of a thing. I don't know. It was very unlikely for me to have somebody else be hiding around in the hotel. Matthew's too easy. David is innocent. I also genuinely believe David did not kill his wife based on the internal dialogue, but it's a moot point whether or not he killed his wife. I believe Riley is innocent. I believe Beverly is innocent. She's too focused internally. Something's going on with Bradley. Bradley is involved. I really don't know what's going on, but he has information. And then Lauren is my next best. Too normal. Then I'm also not sure if the two murders are connected or not yet. And I still hadn't officially ruled out the stranger angle. So then we have discoveries of Bradley. Lauren again tries to touch the body, but David keeps her back. He doesn't even let her touch the body to like help them get it into the house. So good on David. So I was like, if her fingerprints or anything are on Bradley, there's no reason that it should be. If we go the non-intruder route, which I think is a very unlikely thing at this point, I've got it narrowed down to Lauren. Lauren is literally the only person who could have done all of them. Literally process of elimination, but I had her pegged from Dana. I just had no idea why. It's not enough to hold up in court, but until we find the earring, but it does make me feel a little bit better about my Sherlock Holmes skills, you know, so. Alright, the cats have come for me. So this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. My Goodreads is down below. Links for this book is down below. And I will see you guys again soon with another video.